Guys, what's up? How you doing? And I'm not real big on introductions, so we're just gonna hop straight into it. Talk about 4 things I learned by getting married at a pretty young age. Okay, and me and my wife, we met. I was 20, and I got married at 22, and she was 20 when we got married. So it seems like it was 2 years after we met. It was really just like 13 and a half months. I just had 2 birthdays in this span. So we met in like end of April, beginning of May when I was 20. And then a month later, I turned 21. And then a year later, a year and 5 days later, we got married and I was 22. So we got married like 13 and a half months after we met. And we've been married for 10 years now. So still going strong, Lil still strong, still happily married. And the first thing I want to say that I learned is that age has nothing to do with readiness to get married. You hear people tell younger kids or younger couples all the time, you too young to get married, you're too young to get married. It's just not true. Some people, it's about what is your maturity level? Are you mature enough to handle that level of commitment or not? Because some people at 20, they aren't mature enough. But the thing is, when they turn 30, 40, 50, they still aren't mature enough. So it has nothing to do with age. It's maturity. It's mindset. Are you ready to be married mentally? Because your age has nothing to do with it. Now, some people, as they grow older, they will mature as you should as you grow older, and then they will probably grow into the point to where they are now ready to commit to somebody long term and get married. But some people, it has nothing to do with age. It's just maturity. They're not mature enough now, and it doesn't matter how old they get, they won't be mature enough later. And I feel like people just aren't honest with themselves. We need more people being honest with themselves that they're just not the marriage type. Marriage seems like something everybody should want, but it's not for everybody. Some people struggle heavily with monogamy. You know, we act like it's just men. It might be mostly men, but some women struggle with that too. And some people have already made up in their mind, yeah, I'm gonna get married, but if she get on my nerves, I'm gonna leave. Marriage not for you. You gotta have some stick to itness to get married. You gotta have some stick it out. That's why we say vows through thick and thin, rich or poor, sickness and in health, because it's gonna get some rough patches in there. If you just gonna dart the first time it gets rough, marriage ain't for you. And marriage simply isn't for everybody. But it seems like people don't like admitting it because it makes them look a certain way. And people will probably look at you a certain way, but I think those looks are better than you starting a family and then breaking it or breaking somebody's heart. You know what I'm saying? So we can't be selfish because we like the way it looks to be married. Marriage ain't for everybody. And age has nothing to do with whether you're ready to get married or not. It's how mature are you? Where's your mindset? Second thing, being broken happy is a real thing. Like when me and my wife met, I was a struggling college kid trying to graduate. She was a struggling college kid trying to graduate. I was working at Target and going to school. And because I was a biology major, I had labs and stuff after class that ate into my availability for work. So I couldn't work as much as I wanted to because I had these 4 p.m. labs, 5 p.m. labs. I had a lab at 7. And they were 2 hours and 50 minutes long during the week. And those were days I just couldn't work because I had to go to lab. So I wasn't working a lot, and I was working at Target. We weren't making a lot of money. We were surviving off school checks, refund checks, and help from our parents. And we didn't have a care in the world. Struggling, couldn't get all the things we wanted, but we were newly married, still in that honeymoon stage. Didn't have any money. Happy as could be. Happy as could be. And shoot, we were probably like this till I graduated and became a teacher and then started making adult money. And shoot, now I'm making, I think, twice as much as I was when I started teaching. It's just 6 years later. So now we got some stuff we can argue about because we got money, right? Now we got bigger decisions to make. Where we gonna live? Where you gonna teach at? What we gonna do with this money? Now we got kids, right? So when we were young, broke, and dumb, nothing to argue about. Life was great. And then you start making money, life start changing, start having kids. Now that's when the arguments show up. So, I know a lot of people are trying to tell you that a young man should have a life carved out for the woman that he's gonna marry, and I'm not upset with that. I get that mindset. But that goes into my next point, number 3. Building together as a couple makes the couple stronger, especially as the man in the relationship, because my wife, Brandy, was willing to stick with me, right? When I was a struggling college kid, while I didn't have any money, I couldn't really buy her anything, couldn't really afford to give her a great engagement ring or things of that nature. And now that I'm starting to make more money, I just appreciate her more, because a lot of women not gonna put up with that. You know, a lot of women gonna say, you in school, can't really work, well, you ain't worth my time then. And I'm not even necessarily saying that's a bad mindset necessarily. I'm just saying that's a common mindset among women that my wife didn't share. Maybe she was at 20, she was too young to think like that. I don't know. Either way, I appreciate her more because she was willing to stick it out with me while I was trying to build something. Right? She was still providing for me, still loving on me. Shoot, she had our first kid. She got pregnant a year and a half into our marriage. So about a little after 2 years we've been married, we had our first daughter. We had our daughter. We only got one. We had our daughter. And, you know, she stopped working. Money went down a little bit. I still hadn't graduated yet. She stuck by me. So to me, I get a guy wanting to carve out his life first before he meets a woman. But when you get together and you don't quite have it all figured out and you build together, it makes your bond much, much stronger. Much, much stronger. I know that don't work for everybody. Everybody's different. I'm just talking about my case. I feel like for me and my wife, us getting together when we were young and starting to build our life together, buying our first house together, all these new things, it made our bond stronger. And if that's not for you, I understand. I'm just speaking personally on my experience. I think when two couples, when a couple builds together, it makes the bond stronger. Hey guys, quick break. If you like the hoodie I have on in my videos, it's part of my clothing brand. It's the summertime, so all my hoodies are on sale as I get ready for my next drop in the fall. I have a promo code that's going to pop up on the screen, Wuan00. You can get 10% off any order, and the hoodies are already on sale, so you're getting a crazy deal. And if I was you, I would take advantage of this deal. And that gets to my fourth point, and the fourth point isn't even really me speaking from my experience. It's just something I've noticed in couples as I've gotten older. Every couple isn't have children couple. All right, what I mean by that is a lot of people get married and they think they're supposed to have kids, even if they don't really want any, right? But they don't want any, but they also not going to do what it takes to make sure they don't have any. So you end up having them. And now you're a parent and you don't want to be. So now because you're a parent and you don't want to be, it damaged the relationship between you and your spouse. And now you and your spouse done had a kid or a couple kids, and it's damaging the relationship, and y'all end up getting divorced, and now you got a broken home. All right, because I think more people, just like with my first point, how more people need to admit that they're not really the marriage type, I think more couples, sounds mean, need to admit we're not really the parent type. I'm cool with being with you forever. I just don't want the sacrifices and the commitment that it's going to take to have children. That's okay. That doesn't make you selfish. That doesn't make you anything negative. It makes you self-aware. And we need more self-aware people when it comes to making these big decisions like getting married and having kids. It's okay to be somebody that wants to get married and doesn't want to have kids. And a lot of the time it comes down to guys not wanting to do what's necessary to make sure them and their wife don't have kids, right? Because women, you just don't want a woman sitting on birth control until she goes through menopause. That can't be great for her body. I'm not a huge fan of birth control, so I didn't want my wife to have to do that, right? So what we need is not more women getting their tubes tied if they don't want kids, because that's a pretty invasive surgery and it takes a long time to heal from. We need more men getting vasectomies. I don't care what you think. It's not going to make you less of a man. We're talking about a 5-minute procedure that you heal from in a couple days, and after that, you forget you ever had it. You just can't have kids anymore. Yes, I'm speaking from experience. It's a 5-minute procedure. It's quick. Takes no time. Your wife now doesn't have to be on birth control. You're healed and ready to go in 2 or 3 days, and you never think about it again. Ever. So if you don't want kids, but you don't want your wife sitting on birth control, then you know what you got to do. But we got to have we got to stop this mentality of men saying, I can't get a vasectomy, I can't get the snip, that's going to make me less of a man. How? Everything's the exact same afterwards. You just can't have kids. And we need more couples admitting that they're not the parenting type. Because me and my wife, we got 2 kids. That was us. That was our magic number. At first, when we got together, we said, hey, we want 3 kids. After we had 2, first of all, my wife got pretty sick with both pregnancies. But even with that, she was willing to have a 3rd kid. But I think 2 was our max. Like, that's our number. That's the number the Lord intended for us to have. That's just how I feel. Because I feel like 3 would have started to press the restraints. If we got outnumbered by the kids, I think it would have started putting some pressure on the relationship between me and my wife. Because I think 2 was our max. And we love our kids to death. Do anything for them. I just don't think we were the 3-kid type couple. And I know if we had 3 kids, we would have been just fine. But I think 2 was our sweet spot. That's perfect for me and my wife. 2 kids. And whatever that number is for you and your spouse, stick with it. Don't feel if you feel like it's 1, have that 1 kid and be happy. Don't let nobody else tell you need to have more and any of that. And we need more people admitting their magic number as a couple is 0. And I know when y'all gonna have kids, when y'all gonna have never. That's not us. We don't want to do that. We just want to spend our time and focus on each other until we die, and that is perfectly fine. But that's all I got for you guys this video. I honestly believe those 4 things are just things that I picked up from my experience from getting married at a young age, and hopefully it helps somebody. I'm not trying to discourage anybody from first getting married or having kids. I just want people to be real with themselves and reflect what is best for me and what will make me a better person. Because if getting married or having kids will turn you into a lesser version of yourself, then you just shouldn't do it. But you can tell me what you guys think. Love you guys, and I will see y'all next time.